No, you're not, because you're gonna eventually look like this, and that's not helpful to anyone. It's gonna be awkward. You're gonna have times where you're just floating around like you're some sort of trapeze artist, or you're in Cirque du Soleil or something. What's up? It's Ben from WODprep. WODprep is the place where athletes like you go to RX more CrossFit workouts, and most importantly, learn new skills. In this video, I'm gonna teach you how to finally get your first bar muscle up. I'm gonna take you through a step-by-step process to first figure out if you can do a bar muscle up yet, and then I'm gonna show you some drills that will piece everything together so that you're finally standing, or more accurately, arming yourself above that bar victoriously. In your first bar muscle up. Super excited to take you on that journey with me today. But another thing, at the end of this video, I will be giving away a free step-by-step bar muscle up training guide. So here at WODprep, we have a lot of good free content. Like this video, we also have a free training guide that I'm going to give to you, and I'll give you the directions on how to get that at the end of this video, so stick around. The first and most important part of doing a bar muscle up is you need to get your prerequisites. Imagine taking high-level calculus like 403 or something like that at your local university, but you've never learned how to add, subtract, divide, or multiply. I don't know much about calculus, but I do know that you probably need a little bit of understanding of basic arithmetic. If you try to do bar muscle ups without having your prerequisites, you're basically just going to be sitting in class like this. So to avoid feeling confused, to avoid feeling like a fish out of water, it's really important that you meet these three very, very important prerequisites, and it's 6-4-6. So 6 stands for the amount of strict pull-ups I want you to be able to accomplish. 4 stands for the amount of kipping chest-to-bar pull-ups I want you to be able to accomplish unbroken. And then the final 6, so 6-4-6, the last 6 is the 6 unbroken toes-to-bar I want you to be able to string together. Again, that's kipping. If you can, then you can do a bar muscle up. Yay! So because you can do a bar muscle up based on your prerequisites, then you can move on to the rest of this video. But if you cannot, if you can't do those strict pull-ups, that's probably the big limiter for a lot of people, or maybe your coordination isn't quite there to do the unbroken chest-to-bar pull-ups and the kipping toes-to-bar, that's fine. We have a ton of free training here on wherever you're watching this video, whether it's Facebook or YouTube. All you need to do is go into the search bar in YouTube and search WODprep, and then whatever prerequisite you're missing, and we will help you get there every step of the way. And of course, if you really want to fast track your training, we actually do have training courses. We have strict pull-up strength. We have kipping pull-up performance with a chest-to-bar bonus in there, and then we also have toes-to-bar transformed. Not many people know this, but WODprep has 8-week programs that teach you step-by-step how to master these kinds of skills and a whole lot more, and they're all backed by 100% results or your money-back guarantee. So just put that somewhere and store it in your brain. Once you've met the prerequisites, then what do? Are you just gonna send it?
You guys silly? I'm still gonna send it.
No, you're not, because you're going to eventually look like this, and that's not helpful to anyone. So the first step, or I guess the second step, after we've met the prerequisites, is we need to practice the pieces of the bar muscle up. So for the next couple minutes, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share a few drills that break down the bar muscle up into its specific individual pieces, and then at the end, we're going to tie it together so that you can finally get your first. So let's start this section by looking at a slow motion bar muscle up. There are kind of 3-4 main parts of the bar muscle up. We have the lever. So after you're done doing your initial kip swing, we lever our shoulders and our head up and away from the initial starting position. Then we have a pop. So that's the classic hip pop. And then right after the hip pop, we have the arm pull. The arm pull is what takes all of the momentum that we've gotten from the lever and the pop, and it pulls us in and over the bar. So we're going into and over the bar with that very strategic and timely arm pull. And then last but not least, we have the transition over the bar. I like to call this sometimes the fast sit up. So basically, I'm accelerating my head and shoulders over the bar, and then voila, we are done a bar muscle up. So now that we have all the pieces of the bar muscle up, let's practice with a few drills that focus on the individual pieces. So number 1, this is called the kipping lever or lever. Wherever you're from or however you say it, I don't really care. All we're practicing here is jumping into the bar in a hollow body position, doing 1 kip swing, and then on the back swing, I'm going to challenge you to get your head and shoulders as high as you possibly can. it's almost like a really aggressive lat pull down. So I'm focusing on activating these muscles on the side of my body and with straight arms pulling down on the bar as hard as I possibly can. This is going to then elevate my head and shoulders, and your goal here is to see how high you can get with a single. So just practice single repetitions, because we're not going for unbroken sets of bar muscle ups. We don't need to practice unbroken sets of kipping levers or levers or on any of these other drills. We're just trying to focus on that one single. So focus on getting a strong arch position, lever your shoulders up and away, and with straight arms, how high can you get your head and shoulders? Ideally, we want to get them as high as possible, and then we're going to layer on the next step. Like I mentioned earlier, the next step after the lever is the pop, so the hip pop. You'll notice when I was doing the levers, I had a very slight angle in my hip. And when I say myself, I'm also talking about the beautiful model that we have performing this. Her name is Shona. She's part of the WODprep team. So you can see Shona has a slight angle in her hip. That is the angle that we will pop. That's the angle that we are going to extend to give us extra momentum. So the next drill is the lever and pop. So you're going to lever your shoulders up and away. And then once you've reached just before the apex, the very top of your lever position, then you're going to pop your hips. And what that's going to do is give you even extra lift, and you should be able, in the lever and pop, to get your head and shoulders even higher. So again, we're doing this in singles. I'm jumping into the bar with a hollow body position, strong arch, lever back, and then at the apex of that lever position, I get a nice strong hip pop, and you can see Shona is getting a little bit higher here, and that leads perfectly into the next and final part of the drill, which we're going to practice the transition. So we're going to move off the high bar, so we're not going to practice on the high bar anymore. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to set up a low bar. Normally, I take a barbell. You can see Shona here has a barbell on a lower squat rack. We have weight on either end of the barbell to make sure the barbell doesn't go flying away. And then I'm going to elevate my feet, or you can see Shona elevates her feet onto either a box or a couple bumper plates, really anything. You can see the position that she's assuming here is pretty much the exact same position with the same sorts of angles, slight bend in the knee, slight bend of the hip. This is the same sort of position that we had when we were doing that kipping lever right before the hip pop. So we have a slight bend in the hips, slight bend of the knees. Shona's arms are straight. And then what she is going to practice here is the timing between the pop, pull, and transition. So what she's doing is popping her hips, and then as soon as she pops her hips, as soon as she gets full extension of the hips, she then aggressively pulls herself into the bar. So it's extremely important that this timing is perfect. The pop and pull are almost simultaneous, but the hip hop happens slightly before that arm bend. If you mix these up, a lot of bad things can happen, and you will probably miss the bar muscle up. So make sure you're popping your hips just before you bend your arms. You can see here that when she does that in nice slow motion, she's able to get herself over the bar. She pulls herself over the bar with momentum. And if you are having trouble transitioning, you can think about throwing your head and shoulders over the bar. So imagine there's like a sheet of glass hovering right above the bar, or imagine you're wearing a helmet or something like that. I want you to break the glass with your head and shoulders, and that's the kind of aggression that we're looking for to help you flip up and over the bar. So with these drills, we practice the individual pieces. We have the lever, we have the hip hop, and with this final drill, which I call the pop and pull drill, really you can call it whatever you want, but basically it's just a low bar muscle up. I'm practicing the pop, the pull, and the transition all at once, and we fit all of these pieces together, and now we can start focusing on the entire movement at once. So if you're having trouble getting over the bar, you're having trouble with the transition, this applies whether you're still working on the floor or whether you're working on the high bar with your actual bar muscle up. There's a few cues that you can think of. Number one, you can think of breaking the glass with your head. That's where I'm imagining there's a sheet of glass over the bar, and to transition, I'm driving my head and shoulders through the glass, and that's going to help get you through that transition. Another thing you can think about is ceiling to floor. So I'm looking at the ceiling, and then as soon as I pull, I transition to look at the floor. So that's a good cue sometimes, and I'll tell athletes that I'm working with individually to look at the ceiling, and then as soon as it's time to make that transition, look at the floor, and a lot of times their head and shoulders, everything will fall into place into the perfect transition. Sorry to interrupt this message, but I have a special announcement from my dog. Murphy would like to tell you that you need to hit the subscribe button down there. Thank you. Okay, we've reached part 3 of this video where we're gonna now break down the full bar muscle up. So we've talked about the prerequisites, we've talked about the individual pieces and a few drills, really simple drills that you can work on. Now it's time to take all these pieces, put them together into a full bar muscle up. So the first drill that I'm going to talk about here is probably the easiest of all of them, and that is the jumping bar muscle up. So what you're going to do is put both of your feet on a box. We want to make sure the box isn't too high so that we can't extend into an arch position. Basically, the box should be at a position where it just barely makes us bend our knees. As you can see, Shona is moving through the movement of the bar muscle up, trying to focus on getting that nice strong arch position, letting her shoulders lever back up and away, and then thanks to that drive of her legs, she's able to pop and pull herself over the bar. This is a great drill that practices everything at once, but admittedly, I don't want you to stick around too long with the two-footed box bar muscle up or jumping bar muscle up. The reason is a lot of people will use their legs too much. So focus more here on the transition and what it feels like for your hands to slide around the bar to get into that good transition. Just focus on the mechanics there and then move on to the slightly harder version of this, which is the 1 foot jumping bar muscle up. So same exact setup here, except what I'm gonna do now is I'm only gonna have 1 foot on the box. This makes it a lot more difficult, but you can see Shona is able to go through the positions of the bar muscle up much more accurately. She gets a strong arch, she's really pointing the toe of that free leg, and then in that lever, pop, and pull position, she's a lot more smooth and can't rely on her leg nearly as much to jump herself up and over the bar. So this is a great scale. If the jumping box bar muscle up, whatever the heck you're calling it. I'm come up with like 8 different names at this point. But if we're doing that jumping bar muscle up at 2 feet and you want to make it a little bit harder, then the 1-footed option is a great way to work on all the positions. Next, we have probably my favorite drill. This is an iteration of the banded bar muscle up. It's the double banded bar muscle up. And admittedly, as we set this up, it's going to be awkward. You're going to have times where you're just floating around like you're some sort of trapeze artist or you're in Cirque du Soleil or something, and it's going to feel awkward and you're not going to be able to do it. But I promise you, if you stick with this drill, it is going to help you perfect the positions of the bar muscle up. So what we're doing is I'm taking 2 bands. I'm putting them apart, so just outside your hands. Put it outside your hands, take 1 band, cross it to the opposite foot, take the other band, cross it to the other opposite foot. So basically we have a band crossing in front of our body. What this allows us to do is to get that full kip extension without a single band smashing into all of our parts, which we don't want. It's not comfortable, I promise. So with these 2 opposing crossing bands, it allows us to get a really good kip swing. And then from that kip swing, we can literally practice everything needed to do a bar muscle up. You can see the arch position, the lever position, the pop, the pull, the transition. This is literally a bar muscle up with just an assistance. So imagine if you weigh 100 pounds, this drill will make you weigh 60 pounds. And now you're doing assisted or scaled down bar muscle ups. It's a great drill. I highly recommend these for anyone practicing. A couple things to note is that as you get better at these. So if you're using a band that's really, really thick and you're just flying above the bar super easily, then what you can do is start to scale down the bands. So take your big green thick band and turn it into 2 skinny red bands. And that's going to make this movement much more difficult, but still easier than just a normal bar muscle up. So this is a great drill. Again, my favorite to finally get everything to click together so that you can finally learn the bar muscle up. One quick note, if you do the movement improperly, this drill will show you in a very unfortunate way. So with the bands on your feet like they are, if you let your feet come behind you and then do the scorpion kick, like a lot of people tend to do whenever they're doing a CrossFit kipping movement, if you do the scorpion kip and don't stay in a strong arch position, then the bands might snap up and they're going to snap your legs back and it's going to look ridiculous. You could have bands flying all around, catching you in your crotch. It can just be a disaster. So be careful. Stay very tight throughout your entire movement. Keep your toes pointed. Feet clamped together, nice tight core. Don't let your knees bend at all really during the movement, and you will see that it works flawlessly. Alas, ladies and gentlemen, we are here at the grand finale, and that is the actual bar muscle up. But are we just going to jump on the bar and, again, send it and try to do a bar muscle up?
Just gotta send it!
No, there's one more little caveat that you might have heard me mention before if you watched any of our other videos, specifically during the open. My favorite way to get the very first bar muscle up of your life is to do a box drop in. This is a legal movement. It technically checks all the boxes and allows you to mark this as an RX bar muscle up when you're in something like the open. Obviously, we do want to graduate from the boxes eventually, but hear me out. If you're trying to get your very first bar muscle up, try the box drop in method. So here's what we have. Usually I like to take 2 boxes and I put them side by side underneath the bar that I'm working from. Then from that position, with the boxes spread apart so that my feet and body can swing in between them, I'm kind of jumping into a hollow body position. So jump into that nice strong hollow. Gravity pulls me into a really strong kip. I go into that strong arch, and then I utilize all the extra momentum that the boxes have helped me generate, and it helps me get that first bar muscle up. So I'm still doing everything. I'm still doing the strong kip into that big arch, into a strong lever, and then at the top of my lever, I pop, pull, transition. All of the tips that I've talked about in all the other pieces of this video, they still apply here. The magic about the box drop-in is that it's just giving you a little bit of extra momentum. So if just swinging, dead hang swinging from the bar, you're not able to generate enough momentum with your normal kip, this box drop-in will take your kip and make it maybe twice as strong. So with that, you're able to gather a ton of momentum, get a little bit of extra juice going into the muscle up, and if your timing and balance is right, you will be able to get your first and finally bar muscle up. So here's what I want you to do. In the comments below, please let me know which steps you followed. If you get your first bar muscle up by watching this video, do me a favor and make sure you leave a comment below to show people that it is possible. I'd love to know what's your height, what's your age, what's your weight, just as many details as you can provide. Share with other people how you were when you got your first bar muscle up. Which one of these tips in this video helped you finally make it click, because there are thousands of people who meet that 646 or 666 criteria where they can do strict pull-ups, they can do kipping chest to bar, they can do kipping toes to bar, but they can't do a bar muscle up. This video and your encouragement is going to help them get there first. If you need extra help, if this video maybe isn't quite enough to get you over that bar, I have a free ultimate guide to bar muscle ups. You can get that by going to the link in the first comment below. I pinned it there for you, or you can look in the description. There's a link that I want you to click, and it's the ultimate guide to bar muscle ups, or WODprep.com/BMU. You can go enter your name and email address, and then I will send you a free extra training series that's going to help you get your first bar muscle up. If you are someone who really wants to take getting bar muscle up seriously, then you should check out our bar muscle up mastery course. So that comes with a 100% results or your money back guarantee. That means if you buy bar muscle up mastery, when it's open, sometimes it's not open, you're going to have to check by clicking one of the other links below. But if you join bar muscle up mastery when the doors are open, and you go through the entire course and you don't get your first bar muscle up, or for any reason at all, maybe you think I look weird, we give you every single penny back. So it's like an unconditional money back guarantee that actually is with all of our WODprep 8-week training courses. So if you're serious about getting bar muscle ups, then I would even skip the free guide and go straight for bar muscle up mastery, because it is one of our best-selling courses, and we have thousands of testimonials from athletes just like you who are able to use our programming step by step and string together multiple unbroken bar muscle ups once and for all. And the third thing I want to talk about is that if you're a master's athlete over the age of 35, and maybe you joined Bar Muscle Up Mastery, or maybe you're practicing the drills that we talk about in this video, and you want a WODprep coach to give you one-on-one video analysis, then you should join WODprep Plus. WODprep Plus is our master's only coaching community. So that if you're 35 years or older, it's the only way you can get in. And then you can join us inside of WODprep Plus, where you can submit videos to the WODprep team, and then we will analyze and give you feedback and basically answer any and all coaching questions that you could possibly ask. It's specifically for master's athletes. You got to be over the age of 35. And again, guess what? The links to join WODprep Plus are below this video. It's probably the best deal that we have going. For a small monthly fee, you get unlimited access to WODprep's coaching staff, and it's pretty freaking awesome. So I hope to see you on the inside. And last but not least, the question of the day: what are your prerequisites? So I already wanted you to comment if you get your first bar muscle up, but either way, what are your prereqs? How many strict pull-ups can you do? How many unbroken chest to bar pull-ups can you do? How many unbroken kipping toes to bar can you do? Leave those in the comment below and let me know what the biggest takeaway from this video was. I want to see what your comments are. Again, if you get your first bar muscle up, let me hear it, let everyone else hear it in the comments below. And then also, just for good measure, let me know what the highest level of math you've ever taken. I believe I said something like calculus 402 or something like that. I don't think I ever got that high. I think I got to calculus like 201 or 202 maybe in college, and that's the highest that my math IQ climbed. So I will see you in the next video. Thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs up if you don't like it. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't for some reason, and I'll see you next week. Peace.